Question number 7. Question number 7 wants us to utilize the quadratic formula to find the solutions or find the values of x, alright, for each of these equations, okay? So first things first, guys, whenever you're using the quadratic formula, you need to first make sure that your equations are in the standard form for quadratic. So the standard form for quadratic, okay, looks a little bit like this, alright, where it's a squared, or ax squared, sorry, so a x squared plus bx plus c, alright? So essentially, this can look like this form if this 10 was on the same side, okay? So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to move everything to the same side, okay? How do I move a positive 10 to the other side? Subtract 10. Am I going to subtract it from the x squared? No. The negative 17x? No. The 144? Yes, because that is the like term. That will get canceled out, okay? The 2x squared, you're not adding or subtracting anything to it, so you bring it down. The negative 17x, you're not adding or subtracting anything to it, so you bring it down. 44 minus 10, I am subtracting something from it, and I will get positive 34. Alright? Now I have the standard form for my quadratic. Okay? So now I'm going to use my formula, or my quadratic formula. Alright? So your quadratic formula is x equal negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright? A lot of times I'll set it up like this. So I'll write it as negative parentheses plus or minus square root parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses parentheses. Alright? All over 2 parentheses. If you realize your discriminant is the same thing as what's underneath the square root for quadratic formula. So if you remember quadratic formula, you will remember discriminant. Alright? So let's go ahead, let's plug in our A, B's, and C's. So I'm going to plug in my B first. And what is my B? Your B is negative 17. So again, your A is 2, your B is negative 17, and your C is 34. Alright? So when I plug in my B, I'm plugging in negative 17. Plug in my B, plug in negative 17. Plug in my A is 2. Plug in my C is 34. Plug in my A again, my A is 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in my calculator. Alright? So, in your calculator, guys, you can't type in the plus or minus sign. So you're going to have to do when it's a positive. Alright? So again, you're going to have to do when it's a positive. Then you're going to have to do when it's a negative. Alright? So just like we've done before. Okay? So again, you do first when it's a positive. Okay? And then you're going to change this sign and do when it's a negative. Okay? So again, you're going to change the sign and do when right here is a negative. Okay? So again, guys, those will give me our 2 answers. Okay? So let me write it out just so you can see exactly what you are plugging in. Alright, it's 34, 2, negative 17, all over 2 parentheses 2. And again, this is the sign that changes. That's why I wrote it out twice. This is the sign that's changing, the only sign that's changing. So let's put that in our. So this was my result when it was negative. So when it was negative, alright, oh sorry. That's my result when it was positive. Alright, so apologies, this is the result when it was positive. Okay? Right, the result when it was negative would have been 3.2192. So again, you have to plug this in your calculator. Alright? So I'm going to go ahead and round it because the answer says solve the equation, and round your answer to the nearest 10th, I will look at the second number after the decimal point. Alright, if that number is 5 or larger, the number to the left of it will go up by 1 point. Because this one is not 5 or larger, my answer for the first, for when it's negative, will be 3.2. Okay? Because this is 5 or larger, then the 2 right here will go up to a 3, so that would be 5.3. And these are my two answers. Alright, so let's try the next one. Okay? So first things first, is it in the standard form for a quadratic ax squared plus bx plus c? No, because the 2x needs to move to the other side. How do I move a positive 2x to the other side? By subtracting 2x on both sides. Are you going to subtract it from x squared? No. From 15x? Yes. Alright, because that's the like term. Okay? So this gets cancelled. Okay? The 2x squared that's right here, you're going to bring it down because you're not adding or subtracting anything to it. 15x, I am subtracting something from it. 15x minus 2x is positive 13x. The negative 23, I'm not adding or subtracting anything from it, so I'm going to bring it down. Alright, now it looks like the standard form for our quadratic. Okay, so now we're going to label our A, B, and C. So my A is 2, my B is 13, my C is negative 23. Now I'm going to use my quadratic formula, which is x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, a lot of times I'll set it up like this, where it's negative parentheses plus or minus square root parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses parentheses. Alright, all over 2 parentheses. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my A, B, and C's. So I'm going to plug in my B first, which is positive 13. Plug in my B again, which is positive 13. Plug in my A, which is 2. Plug in my C, which is negative 23, so negative 23. That's what this is, a negative 23. Right? And then I'm going to plug in my A is 2. Okay? So in your calculator, you can't type a plus or minus sign. So when you type this, you're going to have to type it similar to how I'm writing it right here. Okay? So you're going to have to type it similar to how I'm writing it right here. Okay? Alright, you're going to have to do when it's a positive with the same number as 13, 2, negative 23, and 2, okay? And plug that in your calculator, and then you're going to have to do when it's a negative right here, okay? So again, this is where the positive and negative sign changes, right? Everything else stays the same, okay? Only those places that I highlighted just a while ago will change its sign, okay? Only where I highlighted, okay? All over 2 times 3. So again, only right here change signs, only right here, okay? So I'm going to plug this in my. When it was a positive, it was 1.4470, alright? And then when it was a negative, it was negative 7.9470, alright? So now I'm going to round. It says solve the equation and round your answer to the nearest tenths, alright? Tenths, you look at the second number after decimal point. Alright, if that number is 5 or larger, the number to the left will go by 1 point. Because it's not 5 or larger for either of these, my answers will be 1.4, so 1.4 and negative 7.9. And those are our two answers. Alright, so again guys, just like that.